Giants had their 7th OTA practice. Let's talk about it. What is going on, guys? What is going on, 27 Squad? Welcome back into another video. This video might be out a little later than usual. OBS decided to completely switch my audio input, and I did a whole entire video, and I didn't record any sound, so that was fantastic. So this is now take 2 of the full 7th OTA practice. But before we do, I heard you guys in the comments. You guys are talking about the background. I completely forgot about the background for years now. And if you guys have something you guys want to see in the background that helped me make it a little bit more lively, let me know. I have no clue what the hell to do in the background. Of course, I'm going to put more squares. I've just kind of been procrastinating with it. And I know there's still a little bit of audio echo in this room. So if you guys have any ideas to put in the background, let me know. And just to gloat a little bit, I also won my copyright dispute with the NFL. They copyrighted my Tyrone Tracy video. If you guys know who Tyrone Tracy is, he's a collegiate player. He is a college player. And the NFL tried to copyright that video that does not have any NFL film in it at all, besides the brief clip I have of Devin Singletary, and they didn't even claim that. They claimed a Tyrone Tracy clip. So I fought it, and your boy won the dispute. Shout out to whoever handles the NFL case. If you guys know anything about copyright stuff that goes on, I don't want to bore you too much, but basically the person who files a copyright claim, there's no mediator. It's the person who files the copyright claim that either chooses to keep it or release it based on the dispute. So whoever handled that case that works for the NFL, salute to you, my man. I appreciate that. All right, to be honest with you, there isn't that much to talk about. As you guys know, the Giants on Giants.com in particular, they usually release 2 articles about these practices. One is like a takeaways where they'll talk about the highlights, the players that stood out, the touchdowns that happened. And then there's the practice report that kind of goes into detail for everything else. And this time there's only the practice report. There's no takeaways that I see. So I don't know what to take of that. I'm just going to post what I see, and hopefully we're not leaving any information out. All right, so as you guys know, the Giants have a new special teams coordinator, Mike Gobriel. I hope I'm saying that right. And the emphasis today was really special teams and focusing on that new kickoff rule. If you guys aren't familiar with it, usually you had the kicking team kind of all together with the kicker, and when the ball is kicked, they haul ass to the returner and try to kill him before that returner really has the chance to look down with the ball in his hands. Now that rule has changed where the kicking team and the receiving team, they will meet up on the receiving team's 30-yard line, and the kicking team will be on the 35-yard line. So they'll be right next to each other. But the thing is, they cannot move until the returner touched the ball, until he makes contact with the ball. I don't know how the hell they're going to enforce that. I know the XFL does it, but I don't know if the NFL is going to enforce it in a weirder way because the refs are just so ridiculous about everything. So like if somebody moves a hair before the millisecond in which the ball comes to the receiver, is there going to be a penalty on it? I don't know. But apparently you cannot move until that ball is in the receiver's hands, whether it touches his hands or he botched it or whatever. Then you're able to go ahead and go after the returner, and obviously the receiving team will be forced to block. Now, this rule is really meant to implement a more of an exciting return experience. They said it before, like, listen, these kickoff returns, they're pretty boring. Sometimes a lot of these people, take bathroom breaks during kickoff returns because odds are things are not going to happen. So they really try to expand on this a little bit, try to re-innovate it a little bit, and try to make it more exciting, as now it kind of gives a little bit of an advantage for the receiving team to kind of make an explosive play or even take one to the house. Now, I'm a little bit old school. I hate rule changes. I hate changing the rules because really it just changes how we see the past of like NFL stuff. For example, you have the now 17 games, right? You have 17 games in a season where previously you had 16 games in a season, and now you're going to have 17 games and players are going to be breaking records that were held when there were 16 games, and now we're going to say that this guy's the leader when he had more games to play with, if you get what I'm saying. So now that this rule is implemented, we may see somebody or some returners completely blow Deion Sanders and Devin Hester out the water as far as kickoff return stats go and breaking records. So I'm a little bit old school. I don't like rule changes, but it seems interesting. I don't really watch the XFL, to be honest with you. Those of you guys that do, let me know how it feels. Let me know how it looks. Is there more of an opportunity for these returners? Now, the returners have a lot of room to work with, so I assume there's going to be a lot more opportunities for an explosive play. So in that, the Giants were working on the special teams returning, and there was one guy that really stood out for John Schmoke in this practice report, and it was Dante Turbo Miller. Now, if you guys don't know about him, I don't know if I really want to make a video. You guys let me know in the comments if you guys want to see a video on him. There's a whole story to that, but he was a prospect in the NFL draft, was not able to be drafted, and the Giants signed him. So he was basically a draft pick as well, along with Tyrone Tracy. He really stood out to John Schmoke in the returning game. Now, this new rule is very interesting because there are a couple of guys I can really see on this team really taking advantage of this new rule, and that being one, Isaiah McKenzie, who is a depth receiver, but it can be a good return specialist. Obviously, Dante Turbo Miller. We'll see if he even makes the roster. And of course, Tyrone Tracy, who has experience in the return game, and I think can be very explosive with his shifty ability in this new rule. So let's see who even makes the roster, let alone becomes a return specialist, because any one of those guys, besides Tyrone Tracy, I think he's a lock to make the roster, but Isaiah McKenzie and Dante Miller, we don't know if they're going to make the roster, but it'll be fun to see them back there returning these kicks on the new kickoff rule. So let me know what you guys think about the new kickoff rule. Do you guys love it? Do you guys hate it? You indifferent about it? Or are you just like me and you just hate rule changes? So I have to grow up with it. I got to adapt, right? I'm getting older. I'm getting a lot more stubborn with things. I'm set in my ways, right? You can't change me. But yeah, I gotta adapt. New running backs coach Joel Thomas was working with the running backs heavily on the passing game and catching the ball out of the backfield. Now, Saquon Barkley left a real big hole in this roster in the running game, or for the running backs rather, because he was very, very good running the ball and catching the ball out the backfield. His gap that he left is gonna have to be filled by multiple running backs, and with the Giants having a running back by committee now, they kind of have to pick up what's left and try to make this thing work. And I think they're doing a good job. I think they have the right amount of running backs there. They got the right guys there, and this is great to see because a lot of these running backs, you know, you got Devin Singletary, although he's not much of a receiving back that a lot of people think he is, just because he's 5'7" and he's a smaller guy, shiftier guy. He's never really been asked to really catch the ball at the backfield much in his time in the NFL, but I'm very anxious to see what he's going to do now that they're really emphasizing this in this new offense. Well, not new offense, but they're kind of opening things up in the offense. And then you have Eric Gray, who is no stranger to catching the ball out the backfield. Like in his time in Oklahoma, he caught the ball a lot on a lot of flats and screens and bubbles and things like that. And then, of course, you got Tyrone Tracy. We know that he has a lot of experience catching the ball, having that receiver background, and also even catching the ball as a running back as well. He is a guy that you can put everywhere on the offense and he's going to succeed. So I think this is going to be his bread and butter. I really am anxious to see how they're going to use Tyrone Tracy and when they're going to utilize him. I don't know how many reps he's going to have throughout a game-to-game basis, but I hope it's a lot because his skill set is absolutely needed on this team, and I think he provides something a little bit different than the rest of the running backs on the roster. If there's one running back that really thrives in what the Giants are trying to do at running back, it's Tyrone Tracy. All right, practice did start off very competitive as you had Bobby Okereke forcing Wan'Dale Robinson to make a difficult catch over the middle with strong coverage, and I guess Wan'Dale caught that ball, so a little bit of iron sharpening iron there. Then you have Micah McFadden. We haven't heard too much about him in these OTA practices, but he broke up a screen that could have been limited to no gain. Micah McFadden has always been great at that, at sniffing out screens and making great pursuit angles to the ball carrier. We got the secondary starting to heat up a bit, starting to give the wide receivers a little bit of a run for their money. We all know that the wide receivers really started off strong going into these OTA practices, and the defense, there wasn't really much to note about them besides like Deonte Banks. But you have Banks, who broke up a pass again to Darius Slayton. This is now the 7th out of 7 time Deonte Banks is mentioned in these articles. This is now Trey Hawkins' 2nd time being mentioned in these articles, where he also broke up a pass, nearly intercepted it over the middle. Cordell Flott also got some versus Darius Slayton, as he broke up a pass on him as well. Darius Slayton seemed to not have a great day today. And then you have Alex Johnson, who we remember had the first interception of all these OTA practices all the way back in day 1. He also had 5 interceptions just last year at UCLA, and the UDFA at a UCLA also breaks up a pass today. Bars. Darren Waller has nothing on me.
Please help me.
All right, we got a couple of defensive bullet points that we'll just go by one, so let's go. Defensive front made some noise again. A defensive pressure package gave Brian Burns the opportunity to be a free runner to the quarterback, forcing a play to be blown dead. Tyler Nubin and Jalen Mills came free on a blitz that forced the ball to come out of the quarterback's hand. Dexter Lawrence got through the middle to pressure a quick pass to Wan'Dale Robinson in the flat, and Timon Fox created pressure late in practice that could have been a sack in a game situation. Now, we're hearing a lot of good things about Brian Burns. I'm really hoping he hits his stride with the Giants. You guys know that in his time with Carolina, he's always been a guy looked at as hasn't hit his full potential yet. Brian Burns has always kind of floated around an 8 to 9 sack type of edge rusher, which is good, don't get me wrong, but I think a lot of people can agree, if you watch his film, if you just know who he is as a player, he can be a lot better than that. His skill set, his natural ability, his quickness, his burst off the ball, I mean, everything just screams top 5 edge rusher in the NFL, and we're just waiting to see that from him. Along with Kayvon Thibodeau, he has all the things to get it done. I think this is the most exciting edge rushing duo that we've had since probably JPP and Olivier Vernon. Say what you want about those two players. I thought they were a good mix that we had, but these are guys that already hit their stride. They were kind of already in their primes, and as opposed to these guys who we don't even know where their ceiling is. So I'm a little bit more excited for them than I was in 2016, because Kayvon Thibodeau and Brian Burns, we've seen glimpses of who they can be, and if they put it together with both of them rushing off the edge, it's going to be absolute magic. And then having Dexter Lawrence also in the middle, he's being disruptive as always. There's not even a point in talking about Dexter Lawrence in these practices. We all know who he is. I already said it in the last video. I think, and I said it on Twitter, I think he's the best pass rushing nose tackle of all time already, and there has been nobody to dispute me on that. Everybody, for some reason, everybody keeps saying Warren Sapp. Warren Sapp is not a nose tackle. The man came into the NFL at 281 pounds. Okay, Dexter Lawrence could have ate Warren Sapp for breakfast. Dexter Lawrence is 342 pounds. That is almost 80 pounds of difference, okay? It's about 60, but still. Bottom line, there's no nose tackle. Nose tackle. Don't talk to me about Aaron Donald or Chris Jones or Warren Sapp or John Randall or anybody like that. We're talking nose tackles. And then there's Tyler Nubin and Jalen Mills, who were blitzed a lot. Now, that really gives me some confidence, because one concern I did have about Shane Bowen in this defense is they are a heavy zone defense. What does that mean when you have a heavy zone defense? That means you don't blitz a lot. And we know this because Shane Bowen has come out and said, and other people have said this about Shane Bowen's defense, is that he really emphasized a 4-man rush. Now, when you have a heavy zone defense, blitzing is not that, I guess, emphasized or suggested, because it's much easier to beat a blitzing team that runs zone defense than it is beating a blitzing team that's running man defense. That's just what it is, okay? When you have free rushers, when you have blitzing guys, it's hard to really replace those zones. But it does give me a little bit of confidence that Tyler Nubin is used in the blitzing game. I think that's a skill set that he really showed off well at Minnesota. So it's going to be fun to see him blitzing in Shane Bowen's defense. I don't really know how Shane Bowen really used like a Kevin Byard. I don't think these two players are the same, but I have to go back in the film. I didn't watch any film on Kevin Byard, but I should go back and watch Kevin Byard and see how he was utilized in Bowen's defense in his time in Tennessee. Then you have Timon Fox. We all know Timon Fox has been a sleeper on this roster for a couple of years now. The edge rusher out of North Carolina. He's broken Lawrence Taylor's record at North Carolina for a couple of records. I think he broke his sack record over there. I could be wrong about that. But Timon Fox is a guy that's been noteworthy a couple of times in these OTA articles, so I'm excited to see what he's gonna do in training camp leading up to these preseason games. As another guy to mention is Ryder Anderson, who is kind of challenging a spot as well from the edge rushing group, and he's been known to move inside as well. So, and then Wan'Dale Robinson caught a few slants. Darius Slayton was targeted frequently by the quarterbacks. That tells me that he did not have a good day, because usually you would hear that Darius Slayton caught a few passes. It says Darius Slayton was targeted frequently. That just means he was targeted. So I think he had a bad day. Cordell Flott and Deontay Banks really gave it to him today. Jashawn Corbin will caught a few passes in the flat, which we know Joel Thomas was working with the running backs and catching the ball at the backfield. And Theo Johnson caught a pass from Drew Lock, so he's still continuing to impress. All right, so that is everything. There are 3 more OTA practices left to go, and then we move on up to mandatory minicamp. I don't know if they're going to be covering mandatory minicamp the same way that they're covering these OTAs, so I will update you guys on that, and let's see if I can still make videos on that. But that being said, guys, leave your thoughts in the comment section below, both on the rule changes, how these OTA practices went, and yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed, subscribe if you guys are new, and I'll see you guys in the next video.